Have you ever wondered why routine matters to success? It is because people do not rise to the level of their goals. Rather, they fall to the level of their system. If you are not intentional about creating routines that will gear you towards success, life will help you create routines that will make you ordinary. Welcome to Learning to Earn. Today, we are going to talk about daily habits and thought patterns that set you up for long-term success. If you can stick to the end of this video, I promise you three things. Key components of success-oriented routine, thought patterns that support that routine, and finally, barriers to build a routine and how to beat them. Let's go. A lot of time and resources have been put into talking about building habits that can gear you towards success. But there is one resource that I would say is at the top of it. Atomic Habits by James Clear. So if you want to know more about building habits, I'll urge you to go get that book. There are key components of a successful oriented routine. And one of them is blocking your day, creating blocks. So you have the morning block, the afternoon block, and the evening block. So you can have separate routines for these blocks. So what you want to aim to achieve is to ensure you have 2/3. You've won 2 out of the 3. If you are able to win these 3 blocks, if you're able to get your routines right in these 3 blocks, beautiful. But we know sometimes life happens. So you want to try your best to ensure that 2 blocks out of the 3, beautiful. And the one I would always suggest is to ensure your morning block is good and your evening block is good. You're getting a 10/10 there. The 3 blocks should typically follow this structure. Now, it could be different for different persons. It just depends on the stage of life you're at. So, but this is how it works. So, the morning block should be about meditation, quiet time, or prayers, walking, enjoying that morning air. And that should flow between 5 a.m. to 7:30 before you now go into deep work, which should be 7:30 to 10:30 a.m. You do deep work, you do the most important tasks of the day. Then you go in between 10:45 and 12:15, you exercise, you do mundane tasks, you cook, you bath, you eat. So that is a morning block. That is a block that you can say, okay, if I've done this right, yes, I have won this morning. I would always encourage that after deep work, you eat, then your afternoon block, which typically starts at 12:30, should begin with a quick nap. This is my suggestion. This is what works for me. 12:30 to 1:30, you take a quick nap. Then 1:45 to 3:15, you could do things like calls, meetings, or social media. Then you do 3:30 to 4:45, which for personal development, professional development. You want to study, you're trying to grow yourself, you could do that. Now, some persons could switch the places for calls, meetings, social media, switch it with the professional development. However it works for you, it's fine. But this is typically how your afternoon block should go. Then your evening block should be about spending time with family or loved ones. Okay, you want to also carve out time for that. If you're not intentional about that, you will not have a full life. Then you should go into planning for the next day, winding down, journaling, and reading a book. So you should go like this. 5 to 7, you want to spend time with family or loved ones or friends. 7:15 to 9 p.m., you're planning for the next day. If you are a content creator, you're creating content, you're writing something that you know has to do with the next day. So you don't start your day planning. You've already done it a day before, the evening before. Now, 9:15 to 9:45, you are winding down. And that's you journaling, reading a book. Then 10, you're sleeping. If you can get this right, these 3 blocks right, you've created a beautiful routine, because you could get your 7 hours sleep, you get enough time to do your deep work, you have enough time to spend with family, and you are growing. So you are developing. That is a beautiful life. That is a full life. You don't spend your entire day scrolling on social media. If you notice, the routine is just a little time that has been carved out for social media. Any other time spent on social media outside of that should be that is part of your work. You are putting out content for your work, not you just scrolling aimlessly. Now, remember what I said earlier. You are not a robot. Life will happen. It will get difficult. It is okay. So sometimes you get to win 2 out of 3. That is completely fine. You need to understand that life itself is a marathon, not a sprint. So understand that discipline beats motivation. I am a work in progress. You need to have that mindset. So these are thought patterns that will support your routine. I'm a work in progress mindset. Be kind to yourself. Success is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So that place you want to get to, be calm, you will get there. Discipline would always beat motivation. So do not wait for days when you are motivated before you do the work. Create that routine. Put in your very best to follow it. Let it be that it's things that are beyond your control that affected you. And those things that can affect you when you are on this journey to building a routine for yourself are things we call barriers to building a routine. And this is how you can beat them. You give yourself this excuse like, oh, I don't have time. You actually have time. There is no one that don't have time. You are either not doing the things you need to do. Let's say you're scrolling aimlessly on social media, or you've not actually structured your day. You've not created a routine. Perfectionism. You don't need a perfect routine. You just need a consistent one. Distractions. You need to ensure that your environment is safe for what you want to achieve. You can't just be in an environment that is noisy, that keeps bringing distractions. If you have friends around you that always want to take you away from your goals, you need to cut them off. You need new set of friends. Because I want you to know that time and energy are the only 2 things you have for you to be able to create that life that you want. We have come to the end of today's lesson. This is something I want you to reflect on. What habits do I currently have that are silently shaping my future for better or for worse? Reflect on this. And thank you for sticking to the end. Don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe. See you same time next week.